Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to TED Talks Ball. We've got a special Thursday afternoon edition, a special, well, I thought it was Bengals behind enemy lines. It's kind of an interesting story. Um, Big Mike and I are part of a DM group on Twitter, and I asked the head of the group, I was like, hey, do we have any Cleveland, or not Cleveland Browns, any Cincinnati Bengals fans, creators in our group? And he's like, oh, yeah, the Man Cave, Big Mike. He's your guy. And it's funny because I thought you might be a Bengals guy. And then I went and looked a while back, and I thought maybe Browns. Turns out Mike is a Browns fan and a Browns content creator. And that's fine. I mean, really, I just wanted an outside opinion outside of the 49ers echo chamber to bounce ideas off of, to talk a little bit about the Bengals game. But obviously, we can talk a little bit about our game together, the Browns and Niners game. We could talk a little bit about things that have happened since the Vikings game for the 49ers, the Colts game for the Browns. And you'll have to forgive me, Mike, I didn't do my homework. Who do y'all play this weekend?
We play Seattle.
Ooh, well, we'll be big Browns fans this weekend. Yeah, absolutely. Interesting stuff there with the Seahawks. They lost Nwosu, excuse me. And then they picked up Frank Clark, who is a free agent. I don't think he's quite as good, but boy, it's nice if you're a Seahawks fan to pick up somebody that good off the street, and kind of a bummer if you're a 49ers fan, because I hate the Seahawks. I hate the Cowboys and the Seahawks and probably the Eagles the most of any teams. The Eagles really moved up quickly after last year. But enough about me. Let's get your banner going here. I should have had that going to start the show. So you can find Big Mike at the Man Cave 10 on Twitter. And then I also have his YouTube channel down below in the description. If you just want to click on the link, please get over and like and subscribe. We are streaming to both channels. So if you're on my channel, make sure you get over to Mike's channel and give him a like, subscribe. Same thing if you're on Mike's channel, come on over and hit me up. Yep. Like and subscribe. If you're on a browser, it's really easy. Just open up two tabs. You can watch both shows at the same time. Just make sure you mute one. And or if you're on a phone, you could always use a secondary device like a tablet or something like that. So please do that, folks, and it really helps us. But Mike, a really long intro, sorry, and let us know a little bit about you, what you got going on coming up, and anything you'd like people to know that I may have messed up.
I mean, like you said, big Browns fan, been doing this for a while now. I've been podcasting for years. I just hit the sports side just about a year and a half ago with my partner. You know, he's a big Bengals fan. I moved down to Cincinnati, came together, bam, just talking shop at a bar one day, and here we are. But we're on YouTube at the Man Cave 8172 every Tuesday at 6:30. You can find us there, Sports Madness. And if you just want to talk life, bullshit, do your thing, Relax Wednesdays, 6:30, same channel. We just talk about anything, everything, and nothing.
Very cool. I like that. Keep it well-rounded. I've been flirting with the idea of spinning off another TED Talks channel, not just totally general, but food related. I was going to call it TED Talks Grub because there's a lot of good food spots. I know food preparations, things I do that, like my son loves my quesadillas, the way I make my eggs, all those types of things. Compared to, the way mom makes it or other family members or other people he's exposed to or whatnot. Let's catch up here with the chat a little bit. As far as the chat goes, I will try to show every chat so that people in Mike's channel don't feel like they're missing out, or people in my channel don't feel like they're missing out on what Mike's people are saying. I may not read every single one, but Daniel Berry, Sports Highlights, was here early. He said, yo, welcome, Daniel, or welcome back if you're back. I got Nancy Cameron in the Nancy name before Cameron was Kelly, Nancy Kelly. So Nancy Cameron in the house saying hello, Ted. Welcome, Nancy. Jimmy Perez in the house says, don't forget to smash the like button. Yep, like and subscribe, everybody. It really helps us to do what we do. He's saying, what's up? Not much, Jimmy. Better now that you're here. Thanks for coming. Danielle in the house saying, Ted, hey, boo. Thanks, Danielle. Good to see you. Bryant Culp, he has his own YouTube channel. So does his wife, Tony. But both do great things. His wife does a women's roundtable every Saturday night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern. So check that out. And Danielle saying, Bryant, hey, boo to Bryant too. I guess I'm not the only one. Bryant says you just subscribed, so you just got a new sub. So that's cool. And he says Ted always has great guests. That's the trick to this whole thing.
Yep.
Great guests and great audience carry me for sure. Cleveland Browns be cheating. I mean, I will say they got some calls against us and they got some calls against the Colts, but it's not them that's cheating. It's the refs.
Hey, I'll say it this way. The fact that the Browns had something go their way for once, I'm going to take it. I'm going to eat it up because usually it's going the other direction all the damn time.
Yeah, I mean, were there refs involved with was it John Elway and Bernie Kosar back in the day?
Yes.
Yeah, I seem to recall.
There's plenty of games. I mean, you had the big famous bottle gate where fans were throwing bottles during the Jacksonville Browns game, and the refs screwed that whole game up. It was a win for us, and they screwed it all up, gave it to Jacksonville, and man.
Oh, man. Brutal. We got Lena Brown in the house. Wilkerson, food chat is a good idea. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, with TED Talks Ball, it's supposed to be all about sports. We do get into food and other things occasionally. And I left it as ball because I wanted to be able to talk Warriors and San Francisco Giants and maybe even soccer, who knows. But really, it turns out to be like 85-90% 49ers. Just the way things have gone so far. But, not everybody's into football and everybody's into the 49ers, but everybody eats. That's the thing about food shows. So you definitely have a bigger audience for sure, potential audience anyway. And then we got Rick Diaz in the house, says shout out to all the faithful across the country and across the world, especially from east, from south. Go 49ers, no one else. He's diehard.
Yeah.
So where should we start off talking? Should we talk a little bit about our game, the Browns and 49ers game a couple weeks back in Cleveland, in the rain, in the wind? Hell of a game. Congrats. I mean, first of all, congrats. Like I said, there were some calls that went your guys' way towards the end, but there were some calls that went our way earlier in the game.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like the ones at the end are harder to recover from because you don't have as much time.
Yeah, you don't have no time to do them. Yeah.
But ultimately, Brock led the team down on the final drive, and Moody missed a 41-yarder. So it was definitely winnable, and it is what it is. And I just would say you guys' defense is ferocious, and what's his name? Kareem Hunt still has some tread left on those tires for sure.
Oh yeah.
And I'd say PJ Walker, he's obviously not a world beater, but he's got a little mobility. He was able to escape our defensive line a little bit. And if you can just buy a little time against our line, our linebackers are amazing, but our secondary, it can be had, especially because Charvarius Ward is a press man corner, and Steve Wilkes likes to play this off ball, almost like a prevent defense. It's not the best way to use press man corners, unfortunately.
But he did that crap when he was here in Cleveland. It doesn't work.
Oh, man.
You got to have the personality. He didn't have it here. And, again, you're trying to make someone play differently than they do, and it just doesn't happen.
And it just means that they can pick you apart underneath, and it doesn't give our defensive line time to get home. And, so Bosa's sack numbers are suffering. So are Hargrave's. Or Hargrave's doing pretty well, but Eric Armstead doesn't have any sacks. And so that's pretty brutal for sure. But, I mean, I think it was backstage we were talking a little bit, and I was saying how Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah, JOK, he's a hell of a player.
Yeah.
And the Niners tend to do well against teams that don't have the best linebackers because you can just line up in 21 personnel with CMC and Juice in the backfield and Debo and Ayuk and Kittle. And then whoever is the linebacker covering CMC, you just split them out. And all of a sudden they're out in space and with no help anywhere in sight. And that's a really horrible place for most inside linebackers to be.
Oh, yeah.
But obviously we had some injuries. Debo went down early. Do you think Debo hurt his shoulder in that scuffle before the game? Or do you think it happened when he went out of bounds?
He tried to shoulder check some people. Yeah, he wasn't. I don't get all that either. You're professional. That's a college thing. Don't bring that to the pros. Leave that back in college.
Yeah, it was not a good look for either team, if you ask me.
No, hell no.
I mean, but it's just interesting that the two biggest instigators, Debo and Trent Williams, then ended up getting injured. Yeah. Trent has a low ankle sprain. So I haven't heard anything this week as far as a practice report. I should probably check that. But, I would assume he'll be back this week because low ankle sprains are usually kind of 1 to 2 week, maybe 3 week type of things. But
that's what they said before, and that's what he has. So they said 1 to 2 weeks.
Yeah. So, and then I don't see anything recent for a 49ers practice. Okay, here we go. Walkthrough Wednesday. DNP, Dre Greenlaw resting. Brock Purdy concussion. Samuel, we know, is out for at least this game and maybe more on the back end because, bone breaks are usually at least 4 to 6 weeks. So this is only week 2. Trent Williams' ankle did not practice. Okay, interesting. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on as we get further into the week. But I do think Trent Williams will probably find a way to play this week. Let's see here. As far as, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that two of the guys that did the most instigating ended up getting injured.
It's like karma came back.
Yeah, it's like, I hate to say bad karma, but it seems like it was kind of bad karma. No doubt about it. And then it was interesting. You guys copied our boombox walkout.
Yeah.
And it worked. And so the Vikings copied it and it worked for them. And we didn't do it against the Vikings. I'm like, come on, guys, get back to it. Can't let these people steal our thunder that way. But I suppose until it doesn't work, people should keep doing it, right? I mean, people are superstitious a little bit.
I guess.
Whether you're fans or players, it seems like. Nancy was saying, great idea, Ted. TTG. Yeah, TTG is my sponsor, and I'll definitely get to that here in a little bit. And then TTG brought to you by TTG. Yeah. Oh, TED Talks. That's true. That's right. Because right now I'm TED Talks Ball. Yeah. TTB brought to you by TTG. It would be TTG brought to you by TTG. That's some good synergy there for sure. I'd have to ask them if they want to be part of that venture, but I assume they would. It's hopefully good publicity either way. We got Jason Niners Smash Massey in the house. He has a Niners Faithful Radio YouTube channel. Make sure you check him out. He always opens with Talofa Faithful. And then Nancy says, is there a green room backstage? Absolutely, yeah, Nancy. So before the show, there's like a couple of little boxes, and it shows the miniature versions of what you see here on the screen. And then I click mine, and it pops up. And then I click Mike's, and he pops up next to me. And so that's how we, get ready for the show. And then you hit go live, and then it goes live. But if anyone's early, then we talk a little bit before we start. Usually just some basic stuff, like, hey, how long do you have today, so that I don't make you late for your next appointment, that type of thing. And just a little bit. And me, I was like, hey, so who's your team? Like a dummy, not even pay attention to the Browns in the back. But he had mentioned that his buddy Jay was the real Bengals fan. I had one on this morning, and he was a really good guy for sure, Joe. And but ultimately, he was saying that he thought that the Niners would actually win the game, which I thought was a little surprising. And and just to jump ahead, I guess it's not going to ruin anything, I don't think, to just say, sorry, it's John Sheeran was his name. And I was saying that, basically it's a tale of two predictions for me. If Purdy plays, I'm predicting we win. If it's Sam Darnold, yeah, not so much. I don't trust him, you know. I know Kyle loves him. Kyle has said he's like Steve Young, and I'm just like, dude, I was at camp. Didn't look that way to
Yeah,
me.
what's that? What is that? Because he threw
Yeah, I
interceptions
mean,
in college.
Steve Young never saw ghosts, right? Of course, you know, and how great is it that it's right before Halloween too?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, talk about a time of year and when everybody's seeing ghosts. Yeah, that's interesting for sure. So yeah, I mean, I was saying 24-21 if Purdy plays, Niners win, and 24-21 we lose if Darnold plays. You know, I saw him in camp, and you know, I mean, and we saw him his whole career. He's had like 90 turnovers in like 55 games. I know he had bad teams. I know he had bad coaches. I get it. And he had 5 OCs in 5 years, not unlike Alex Smith. When we first drafted him, there was a lot of turnover on the 49ers. We were pretty terrible from 2005 to 2010 before we got Harbaugh. And so I see some parallels there. He does have a good arm. He's taller. He's got some mobility. But it's just the decision making. It just seems like when push comes to shove, he gets shoved. And it was interesting in camp. He he was dink and dunk. That's all he did was dink and dunk. And I know that's probably what Kyle wanted him to do, and that's kind of the bread and butter of our offense. But he just like never aired it out. And in camp, really, Trey Lance was our best quarterback. And Brock Purdy was probably our worst quarterback in camp. And I understand installing Brock Purdy anyway, right? Where you just say, okay, that's fine. He's coming off this UCL repair plus internal brace surgery. You know, clearly not 100% at that point. But now the funny thing is he told Troy Aikman, still not 100%. And that was my thing where I was just like, why rush him? Why not play Trey Lance? Why not get that kid some reps and let Purdy get to be 100%? And, you know, because I think when we played you guys in Cleveland, I was saying basically like, I bet his grip strength isn't 100%. Because when he tore that UCL in Philadelphia, he there was nerve damage and he couldn't grip a ball at all. He had to, the only thing he could do is basically shot put it when they brought him back in.
Yeah.
And so, you know, he struggled clearly with gripping a wet ball in Cleveland. And I was just wondering, maybe his grip isn't 100. Now he's telling Troy his whole arm isn't 100%. I'm like, I'm not surprised. I reported on it from camp. There was Ryan Hensley, who's one of our bigger content creators, and Rob Stats Carrera, another big one, who's kind of buddy with Kay Adams. They pulled me out of one of the camp practices to do a live report because it had never been done where a creator comes out during a camp practice and talks about what's going on. And I was like, Brock, I don't think Brock's arm is right. And Kyle just kept saying, oh, it's fine. It's fine. And now it's, you know, so clearly not 100%. It looked like it in the Dallas game, but other than that, most of the rest of the season, it hasn't. So
I really think Lynch dropped the ball with the whole Trey Lance move. Like you said, he should have let Purdy chill. Hey, man, get yourself 100. Let Trey Lance play because you could have still traded him. You probably still could have had Dallas picking him up. It still would have worked in your favor, but you also would have had 100% healthy Brock Purdy without, oh, we're going to put in Sam Darnold and see what he does, or we're risking more injury to him. We're taking losses because of the injury and all this other stuff. I really think John Lynch dropped the ball on that big time.
Me too. And like I said, I understood installing Purdy because of what he did last year and the assumption that he will get back to that level at some point this season. Totally understand. You could never make Lance the starter just based off camp and preseason. But the part I didn't understand was installing Darnold as QB2. And then that's when Trey was like, F it, I'm out. He's like, I'd rather be QB3 anywhere but here.
Yeah.
He knew he was never going to get a fair shake at that point. And, you know, like I said, I mean, Lance way outplayed Darnold. Well, not way, but he was better than Darnold in camp. And in preseason, it's like Kyle sabotaged Lance against the Raiders, where he had the first 3 series. He didn't call one single run. And we're a run-first team. You know, our run sets up the pass for us. And he never played him with CMC. We never got to see that. And then they finally ran it in the fourth drive against the Raiders, got some momentum, got a TD, the only TD of the game. Trey got some rhythm going. And so, yeah, it's just frustrating to me. And then in the Broncos game, Trey had some like high highs that like Eric Crocker, one of our big content creators, was saying, if he could do that more consistently, there's no one on this roster that could touch Trey Lance. And I'm just like, and he's like, basically, it's just going to take reps to get there. And I was like, man, I just wish we would have given it a little more time. And I do understand, like, once you decide Brock's the guy or Trey's the guy, you got to get rid of the other one. I just thought it was too soon to say that Brock was the guy, especially with his arm not being 100%. Like, because then it may never be 100%, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could have still said Brock's the guy, but we're going to sit him and let him get healthy and let Trey play. I mean, you're not giving QB1 the Trey. You're still saying, hey, that's QB2. He's just going to play while he gets healthy. I mean, I don't understand why they had to rush that so bad just because they thought he would lose some momentum because of the year before and what he was doing. But still, you can't push that. Can't do it. Not with someone like Brock.
I mean, there was about 2.3 games there where I was sort of saying, okay, I get it now. It was the end of the Giants game, all the Cards game, and all the Cowboys game, where I was like, ultimately, like I've had to been adjusting my rankings all season. Like I started them out at 14 to 18 over the summer, and I was calling them mid, so I got into trouble for that. But I meant, middle of the pack, average. Yeah. Mid and mediocre have sort of negative connotations to people, even though to me it kind of all means the same thing.
Yeah.
And so then after the Giants game, I was like, okay, we'll bump them up to 11 to 15. And then after the Cards game, I'm like, yeah, maybe 8 to 12. And Cowboys, I'm like 6 to 9. I wasn't going to go elite because I don't think he's, I don't think he'll ever be Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Herbert, Lamar's starting to look like that again. But that's sort of my top 5. And those are the guys I say that are elite.
You know what Purdy is? He's elite, but he's an elite game manager. That is what he is.
Yeah, because during that 2.3 games, even our whole first 5 games, he was doing better than Matt Ryan 2016, who was the best version of this offense previously. So
I love Purdy when he played for Ohio or Iowa State. I thought he was a great quarterback there. The way he moved the ball, he has a high IQ, so he knows what he's doing. Again, does he have trouble throwing the ball down the field a lot? Yes, he has some issues. But again, he's a good elite game manager. And that's exactly what you guys think. You guys have a good defense. You got CMC, you got Kittle, you got Ayuk, you got Debo. You have a great offensive line. You guys can the Ravens in 2000 did it with Trent Dilfer and that defense alone. I mean, trust me, Brock Purdy can get the job done. He can. Is he MVP caliber? No. But he can get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. He looked the best. And part of it is, I've said, we have the cushiest QB job of any team in the NFL.
We do.
I think Tua is close. I think Hurts is close. Mm-hmm. But maybe Joe Burrow. It's a reason why I have Josh Allen ahead of Joe Burrow. Is because I feel like Josh Allen has Stephon Diggs, but Burrow has Jamar Chase. He's got T. Higgins. He's got Boyd. He's got Mixon. I just feel like he's got more weapons at his disposal.
Problem is with that, he has no offensive line. Burrow
that's true.
That is the most they paid Orlando Brown to come there and suck. Like that was the craziest thing in the world. Then you got Jonah Williams over there looking like trash, switching from one side to the other. That offensive line can't block anybody. And with Burrow having that calf strain, and then also he has a complex where he has to be in every play. He's going to hold on to that ball until the last second, and then he gets sacked or hit even when he's throwing the ball. Throw that thing away. Just throw it the hell away and stop playing this game.
Speaking of not throwing away, that was Jimmy G. He would never throw it away. And he would have like these great completion percentages because it doesn't count as an incomplete when he gets sacked.
No, see, Pretty G was he had a problem with that too.
Pretty G.
Because he really thought that, hey, I got to do everything. His problem was he always thought his job was on the line.
Right.
I have to force everything because if I do some special play or make something special happen, then I'm not going anywhere. I can chill. I know I'm cool.
No doubt. Real quick, I want to circle back up a little bit. Bryant Young did say that we did do the bump box against the Vikings. See, I just saw Purdy walking out, and he was like very sedate and like buttoned down, and so I must have missed the beginning when the bump box came out and Kinlaw marching it out. So I didn't see that, Brian. But thanks for clarifying. He said, "I hope Sam Darnold can prove the doubters wrong." Apparently, when on the home opener against the Giants, well, first of all, Bryant Culp is a big Jake Moody fan, and so he was probably a little bit crushed that Jake missed 2 field goals in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. But he did before that at the Giants game. He wore his Jake Moody jersey, and when Sam Darnold came in to do the mop up, the kneel down or whatever he did, the last 2 handoffs or whatever against the Giants. He was saying Sam area, kind of like Trey area, and so he's a pretty big Sam Darnold fan, I guess. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I wonder how well Sam Darnold would have to play to create a QB controversy in San Francisco, because there's a level where it isn't happening. I hope not, because I really believe in Purdy. Jim Everett the Great was griefing here. He said Purdy can't throw past 10 yards. That's not true, because Purdy lights it up from 10 to 19 yards. That's his sweet spot. And even against Cowboys, he threw some nice deep balls. He had a really nice deep one to Ayuk. It got called back, and then he turned around and hit Debo deep for a 43-yard total, not 43 air yards. But he's had some, he had a 41 air yard attempt or completion against the Cards to Ayuk. That might be one of his longest of the season. He can hit him. He's not like a big armed quarterback. He's not tall, doesn't have a big arm, doesn't have a lot of top speed. But we also got Red Jet Shell now. Steve-O's Customs in the house saying shout out to my guy Ted. Thanks for coming. Red Jet Shell in the house saying my MVP parade, I feel, was only because we went 5-0 and kick and have skidded off. Yeah, I mean, I was starting to see Purdy, in that MVP conversation a little bit, and I could understand it. But then when you saw Christian McCaffrey a few spots below, to me, like that invalidates it. Yeah. Where you got no other quarterbacks in this list, and yet you got this running back there. That again, it makes Purdy's job a little cushier when you have the ultimate safety valve in Christian McCaffrey, because he's a former quarterback. He knows exactly where to stand to be, like, at the same time as close as you can be to the sticks and as far as you can be from the nearest defender. And like somehow he has that perfect balance. And that's just what his superpower. So Jim Hart says 49ers delusional calling. Yeah, I did agree with this.
Very much.
And people call me a hater. And I'm like, no. I really like Purdy. I just hate the hyperbole. I hate the Montana, the Steve Young, the Brady, the Josh Allen, the Mahomes. People say better than Mahomes.
See, the fan that's doing that's saying Joe Montana, Young, and Brady and all that, is that fan that's too far in.
Well, Steve Young said he has the force. Like
they're unrealistically thinking these things. See, like you and some of these other guys are like, hey, we know what this is. We know what this is about. We're not going to say, hey, this guy's end all be all type stuff. Now, that's not what this is. And you guys know that. But some of the other guys, just because of what he's done, all right, well, we're going to give him everything.
Red Jet says pause on number 16. Absolutely. Yeah, Montana's one. He's still my GOAT. So we got Butterfly in the house. Hi, guys. Welcome, Butterfly. And then Bryant switched over to your channel. Love it. He says, I will send you the link. Outstanding. Okay, for the video. Thanks. I appreciate that, Bryant. Jason Niner Smash Massey says, look, we can all bitch and moan, but come Sunday, we all better be rooting for Darnold. Oh, no, I'm definitely rooting for Darnold. I just, look, hey, I root for whoever our quarterback is every Sunday or game day, whatever it is. But then what I say is, like, the other 6 days a week, it depends on how they did, right? Yeah. And so this is one of those other days. And just my expectation is that he's not going to do that well. I hope he surprises me. I hope Darnold plays well enough that we do have a QB controversy, because then I won't feel so bad about letting Trey Lance go, because it's been eating me alive this whole time. I've been ruining this day ever since the trade, just knowing that, more than likely we would be in
possibilities.
better shape if it was Trey Lance leading the troops and not Sam Darnold. But yeah, no, I'll definitely be rooting for Darnold. I'll be there. I mean, so I'm going to be at the game. But let's be clear too. Brock Purdy hasn't been ruled out either, so it's unlikely that he'll get to play after having a concussion only 6 days prior.
Yeah.
But the concussion protocol is not time based. It's a matter of procedures, and if you can clear the procedures, you can. It's possible that he could play. I just, I just say don't bet your rent money, as usually the way I like to put
No.
something like that.
Yeah, no.
I think it's pretty unlikely, but hey, you never know. But yeah, whoever's quarterbacking, I'll be rooting for. I would expect to win if it's Purdy, and I would expect to lose if it's Darnold.
Here's the deal: if you're Shanahan, I'm sitting Purdy anyways. Again, he's got to get that arm right. If he goes in there and his brain was just rattled, so all right, so it comes back and it's okay. How much does it take to rattle it again?
Yeah, we'll just ask Tua.
Exactly, and he's on the verge. He gets hit one good time, you're going to see him gone, and that's it. Dolphins go right down the drain. That's the end of that.
And the thing that scares me about Tua is that his were not like Purdy's, where Purdy was, going for the sneak, and the guy hit him in the helmet to helmet really hard. His whole head moved like a foot. You could tell. I mean, it was clear
he got smashed
when you watch the replays of it. And when it happened, I was like, oh man, that looked ugly. But he got up and kept playing. I'm like, oh, I guess he must be okay. And the independent consultant didn't flag it, so it must be okay. Not knowing, that a lot of times they miss these things, especially if you got a tough guy who just, wants to gut it out. Yeah. But, with Tua, his were more like being ragdolled in hitting helmet to like either turf, AstroTurf, or grass, but not really so much helmet to helmet. So if he does get a good helmet to helmet shot, I imagine it'll be worse. And the thing about these concussions is they're progressive. Yeah. They never get better. They only get worse. And so that's my concern for Tua. I hope he's okay. But man, he's playing great this year. So hats off, or visor off to Tua. He's, lighting it up. I mean, number one offense in the league. So congrats. And Mike McDaniel too. We obviously have a little affinity for him since he's an ex-Niner. They're doing great things down there offensively. I just figured their defense isn't enough. That's why I never wanted to put them in the top 5, even when people were starting to do that. I was just like, that defense, I think, is going to hold them back. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's like they have to outscore you by 21 to 28 points right away for you to have to chase them down.
Yeah, no doubt. Jim Everett says the 49ers will lose to Joe Cold Burr. Yeah, I mean, Burrow, he's an elite quarterback. He's got elite weapons. His O-line is a little lacking, but, our D-line has been really struggling to get sacks. So, I don't know. Is this the game where Bosa and Armstead wake up? I feel like Hargrave's done a pretty good job. Maybe Randy Gregory, too. I didn't think much of the trade, but he definitely played well in Cleveland. He had a sack, some pressures. And then the funny thing is we gave him less snaps against the Vikings. I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing, Steve Wilkes?
This game coming up is a game in the trenches. That whoever wins the trench is going to win. And that's most games, but this game more in particular because with the Trent Williams injury, the Bengals line looking like trash. But who knows? They come off the bye. We could be better, but you got Hendrickson and Reeder on one side. Then you got Bosa, Hargraves, Gregory on the other side. Whoever rattles that quarterback first and gets to him, because again, Joey B, he's still got that calf strain. That's still there.
Don't forget Sam Hubbard too.
Oh yeah, Sam. Yeah, good old Sam.
Didn't he have that thing against the Saints where like they tried to sneak it and he grabbed the ball off the pile?
Grabbed the ball and took off. Yeah,
99 yards to pay dirt.
And that's what it is. It's the trenches. And this game to me, it's like a divisional game, believe it or not, because both teams have to win. Like they got to win. You guys have to win to stay ahead of the Seattle. The Bengals have to win to start gaining some ground to the rest of the division because everybody else is 4-2 or 5-2. It's a must win in both ways. And I'll tell you right now, if people were healthy on the nines, this is your guys' game. The only thing that gives Cincy the chance is they've had the bye week. They've gotten rest. Joey B could feel better, and they're coming into your guys' house. But again, you guys are beat up some. Everybody's got a little hitch in their step right now with what's going on.
Can you believe that we played you guys after your bye, right? The Browns. Yep. Now the Bengals. There's 2 more teams we play this year. Come on, we have 4 freaking teams off the bye.
That's nuts.
Not only that, but we have negative 20 rest days, the worst in the league. So, like when we play the Ravens Christmas Day, they're one of the best, +9. So by Christmas Day, they're going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 29 more days of rest in like a 4-month season. They've had almost a month more rest than us. That's why I flipped that game from a win to a loss, because the stuff adds up in the NFL.
Yeah.
So, and the Ravens, they look good. Their defense looks good. Lamar's looking good. If their wide receivers could just step up a little. Obviously, they got Mark Andrews. He's a beast, at least as a receiver. And that's going to be an interesting one. But yeah, we got so shafted. West Coast teams always travel a lot, but we have the second most travel miles too. Sorry to complain, but there's just some things I saw before the season, and it just always rubs me the wrong way. And then I think we had the 5th toughest schedule when the season started. Those things always change as we go through, but it started out looking very difficult. Yeah. And I feel like we're in the section now where we've got, the Bengals, we got the Jags in Jacksonville after our bye, the Bucks at Levi's. That shouldn't be too bad, but Baker's playing pretty well. And then got the Seahawks in Seattle for Thanksgiving, the Eagles in Philly, then the Seahawks and Levi's come back to. That's a brutal schedule.
It is.
When do you guys? Are you guys in Cleveland against Seattle? Or are you guys in Seattle?
We're West Coasting it.
Okay, so you guys will be playing the same time as us then. So we won't get to know we'll have to be watching it on the stadium scoreboards then, or our phones, whatnot, to know. So because it'd be nice if you guys could actually just beat the Seahawks before we play. That way, I mean, nobody wants to go into a bye on 3 straight losses anyway. Yeah. But the funny thing is, even if we do, we'd be 5-3, and in 2021 we were 3-5 at the 8-game stretch, and in 2022 we were 3-4, and then got to 4-4. So we're but it would still be our best start since 2019, the Super Bowl year, where we went 8-0 to start the season. Which and is listen,
hey, that comment right here, the Colts got robbed by the refs. In a sense, I'll give you that, but I mean, it was defensive holding, and then that pass interference to me, I wouldn't have called it PI because, again, that was an uncatchable ball. But that dude was yanking on his arm, so I would have still called it defensive holding. Either way, to me, there's a flag on the play. I mean, no matter what, there's a flag. Because if you're yanking the dude by his arm back, I mean, that's still holding.
There you go. It's crazy the way things happen, but usually these things even out. And but I did sort of think like, man, the Browns are living right. They got that 2 weeks in a row. They got help.
And I'm happy because, again, we never get it.
Yeah. No, it's huge. And sometimes you need a little luck. So, I mean, that's what I'll call it. I don't think I am more of a tinfoil hat type of guy. And I think sometimes the league, like for instance, like with us, I think what happened is they thought, all right, we want this game to be, exciting. We want the Browns to score here, and the Niners will still have time to do something about it. And we did, and we just didn't make it happen. Yeah. I think the NFL, somebody said it's not fixed, it's facilitated. And, they want to make sure there aren't these huge blowouts. They want to make sure that it's exciting. And so I think they do little things here and there that, maybe bending the rules or ignoring certain things that happen. But ultimately, usually it evens out over the course of a season. And not to wish bad luck on you guys or anything like that, but it does tend to happen that way. So we'll see. And hopefully your guys D, and hopefully Deshaun Watson, the other D, can make it back and do some good stuff for you guys, because you guys paid enough money for him.
I feel like us having to use PJ Walker as long as we are is that evening to sit here and pray our defense can hold whoever, so PJ can make a couple decent throws and Hunt can run the ball and do whatever. I mean, not at first we weren't trade deadline. What are we looking at? We're not looking at a quarterback. We're definitely not doing any of that. Now all of a sudden you hear people saying, "Oh, go get this guy, go get that guy." Oh my God, dude!
Kenneth Ford got hurt too.
Jerome Ford got hurt. Yeah, he's got a low ankle sprain.
Oh man, brutal.
So now it's Hunt,
and he just had like the fastest time in the NFL. Didn't he have 21 point whatever miles an hour?
Yeah.
Oh, crazy. Well, hopefully he's back before too long. Too early to even call Purdy Garcia yet. I agree. Way too early. Garcia was good for a long time. But you know, he could be at some point. They're all agreeing. Butterfly says, I shared this out on Discord for you. Thank you, Butterfly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I don't know the first thing about Discord, so yeah, I've been on there a few times, but
I just got into that.
It's interesting because when I publicize these things, I do it on Insta and I do it on Facebook. I even do LinkedIn because I got a lot of followers on there. And then I've been doing Threads, but maybe I should be hitting up Discord too. It's just probably one more click once you got the stuff formatted, essentially. Got Trey the Wave said, hey, my friend, Seahawks, I think the division is up for 49ers and Seahawks. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, that's what we thought before the season started, and nothing has changed my mind other than Puka Nacua going off. He's insane.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Sorry, he is. I mean, I think he had like 15 catches against us or something like that. And the Rams almost upset us for sure. So that's wild. You should not have traded. Yeah, no, I agree. But your handle kind of makes me think you might be a little bit biased. But no, I definitely was a Trey Lance guy for sure. So I'm hoping that Darnold does well because I don't want Kyle to get a bunch of backlash. Honestly, I'd like him to get this right. I'd like us to get quarterback right, even if it's not my guy. Hopefully it's Purdy, and if it's not, I hope it's Darnold. But I just don't believe it could be Darnold. No. But I've been wrong before, so we'll see. Can we get a replacement for Wilkes? Asking for a friend. Yeah, I mean, Wilkes is definitely struggling lately. Our defensive line is struggling, but the Browns only scored 19 against us, and the Vikings only scored 22. You know, before that, we had like the lowest scoring allowed defense in the NFL. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really ready to fire Steve Wilkes just yet, but yeah, I'd like to see him learn a little bit better how to utilize our players to make our defense not give up so many yards all the time. D-line is going to step up a lot. I mean, this would be the O-line to do it against. The Bengals O-line has struggled since Burrow's been there. I mean, they were kind of okay the Super Bowl year, but even then, they were not like a top O-line. They were just better than before and after, right?
Yeah, I agree.
You have a chance to sign Frank Clark. Now he's with the Seahawks. Yeah, we were never going to sign Frank Clark. He has character issues. Niners don't do that. We stay away from guys that have that kind of a past. So Frank Clark was never an option. I mean, honestly, I was surprised a little bit with Randy Gregory. But I think I was thinking more of the guy named Greg, who was the one on the mound of assault rifles and had domestic violence stuff. Greg Hardy.
Yeah, Greg Hardy.
Randy Gregory and Greg Hardy confused the smoking weed part, and especially given the current state of affairs with weed, I think that's one thing you can overlook.
Oh yeah, definitely, because pretty soon that's going to be non-existent. I mean, the NBA, you're allowed to.
Yeah.
I mean, so eventually it's going to be whatever.
Yeah. But I mean, I would love to have somebody as talented as Frank Clark, especially. I mean, I think he's the playoff sack leader, like all time. I think it's all-time playoff sack leader, Frank Clark. So that's pretty. My Colts got robbed by the refs. Yeah, we saw that. We've addressed that. And I'm sorry that happened. It does happen, though. I mean,
it definitely does.
The week before, and like Mike was saying, it's happened as Browns plenty of times.
Yeah.
So nobody has that marker corner that I'm aware of, where like they've only been shafted by the refs and never got a good, steer from it.
Now, the Patriots don't get shafted ever when Tom Brady and Belichick are doing it.
Well, I feel like that's Mahomes.
Now the karma's starting to hit.
I think Mahomes is getting all those Brady calls now.
Oh yeah, see, it's switched.
Yeah.
He passed it on. He said, "Here's the yellow flag, son."
Yeah. But it was Brady for a long time. Absolutely, Brady, Rodgers. There's like a list of QBs. Kyler Murray got a ton for a long time, especially against us. It's just BS roughing calls.
That little dude needs to quit and go play with the Oakland A's. He needs to be done. Be done with football, dude. Go play baseball.
There you go. Josh Dobbs looked good against us, but he's, I guess, regressed since then. So it was interesting. There was a stat at one point, and I loved it because it was like everybody saying, "Oh, Purdy hasn't thrown interceptions," but yet he had thrown 4 interceptable balls, and Josh Dobbs had thrown 8 interceptable balls and no interceptions. And then you got guys like Mac Jones who threw like 12 and had only gotten 4 interceptions. And then there's poor. I mean, I hate Stafford, but you got to give him credit. He'd only thrown 3 interceptable balls and had 5 interceptions. I'm like, oh, you poor schmuck. Like 2 of them got tipped and they caught ones that were dead on and ended up being picks. That's awful. So it's just interesting to look at, because over time you expect those things to even out. And now, of course, Purdy has had a few interceptions, and he threw 1 in Cleveland, and then the 2 against the Vikings. But I guess the 2 at the Vikings now has an asterisk because it came after the concussion. And so now, because I had moved him from 8 to 12. So I had him 6 to 9 for the Cowboys. I think I stopped on that. After the Browns game, I bumped him back up to 8 to 12. After the Vikings game, I had him bumped him back up to 11 to 15. And then I'm like, oh, I think I'll keep him at 8 to 12 because he gets a hall pass because of the concussion. So it's hard to argue that didn't affect him. Redjet says the back end of the season is going to be anything but easy. That's what runs up the middle through 7 games. Hero ball, Messiah ain't cutting it. Oh, for real though. Yeah, I mean, I think teams are just saying we're going to take away CMC. Somebody else beat us, and I think Brock can. I just think it's tougher when you don't have Debo and you don't have Trent. And honestly, CMC was banged up against the Vikings. He certainly wasn't 100%. Real quick, I want to do a quick commercial break. We talked earlier about TTG, brought to you by TTG, or as it is, it's TTB, brought to you by TTG. They are the Travelstead Group, and they are retail and hospitality logistics. So they do transportation and warehousing for brick and mortar. They do FFE, which is fixed furniture and equipment. They do OSC, which is operating supplies and equipment. They do new store openings, rollouts, relocations, decommissions from the first mile and to the final mile and everywhere in between. Travelstead has you covered. Let us know how we can help you via air, ocean, or land. They do closed loop solutions for retail and hospitality. So talk to Henry or Nick there. They're my guys, great folks. They also have 100% US-based support. These are very complex operations. Things invariably go wrong, or there's fine tuning that needs to be done. It's nice to know when you call that it's people here in the States who understand what you do, not some call center overseas where they're like, no clue what your company does. And so just check out the link. It's in the description of the show, my YouTube about page, my Twitter bio, Insta, Facebook, if you follow me there. Click on it, check out the video, and just make sure you tell them that Ted sent you. So I appreciate your help if you're in that space. But and thanks for letting me pay the bills, Mike. I appreciate it. So we got Randy Daytona in the house. Great to see you, Randy. Says, anyone talk about Kyle's record in October? It's not good. It's not good. If you want to post it up, I know it's a losing record. And luckily October is almost over, but I hope we can buck the trend and, score at least one to go into the bye week with some momentum. But post it up if you got it, Randy. Beats and rhymes. There you go. It's rare, but sometimes I get a little of that going. Randy says 3 straight calls in Indianapolis. All of a sudden, end of the first quarter. This is a pattern last few seasons in football. Yeah, it's the refs are terrible. I mean, some of it, like I said, is kind of conspiracy, but some of it is just ineptitude.
Yeah,
just bad. And it's probably time to make them full-time and not contractors, and make it pay a little more so you can get some better talent.
And then actually make them go to classes in the off season. do something to better themselves, because obviously they're trying to be the same ref as last season. It's going to be the same trash out there on the field. It ain't going to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We got Lee Gallen in the house. He is El Presidente of 49ers Faithful UK. That's this flag here. He and Paul Hope, you know Paul probably from our DM group. Paul did a lot of work with Let's Talk Sports and with Nick. And let's see here. So Lee's going to be out here for the Bucks game. So that is, he said in 3 weeks, that's November the 19th. And we're all going to sit in the gold mine, which is an out of town VIP section in the end zone. So I'm excited to meet Lee, excited to meet Paul, any other UK folks coming or any other, US folks that'll be there. Super excited about that. So Lee, thanks again. And can't wait to meet you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know, Paul's really excited too. He's been posting pretty much every day about it. It's pretty awesome. And make sure you check out 49ers Faithful UK. They have a great show on YouTube as well. And they do every Tuesday at noon Pacific and more than that, but that's at least that show every week. So great folks to check out. And we've kind of been on similar growth trajectories in that 600 plus subscriber range. So awesome. Just having someone to push you along. Randy saying Kyle is 11-6 in October and 0-36 when losing. Oh, I thought he had a losing record in October. Huh, interesting. But 0-36 when losing. Yeah, I mean, I saw that stat about what his record was, down by 8 in the fourth quarter. It was not good. We're definitely a front running team. I said that I was watching the game with my folks, and which is great because my mom can watch my son some during the game, and that way I can let my wife have our younger son, and that way at least she doesn't have to have 2 kids to deal with and while I'm engrossed in the game. But I was saying to my dad, like, we're a front running team. We're not built to come back. We're not a pocket passing team. Yeah. Especially not without Trent Williams and Debo. And so that's why I had my doubts that we'd come back against the Vikings. But we maybe we would have if Brock hadn't been concussed. It's open to debate. 0-29 when trailing by 5 or more in the fourth quarter since 2017. My name, my beeswax. Hello. There you go. There you go. I think I'm getting behind in the chat. So when I get too far behind, I usually like to just start at the bottom and work my way up. 11-16. That's the one I think I saw in October. 11-16. That sounds more realistic. Also, we were 10-20 against the Browns lifetime. Haven't beat the Vikings at home in a long time, since 70s or 80s. I remember that. No doubt about it. Trey the Wave says, do you like Levi's Stadium or no? Some people hate. I definitely didn't like Levi's at first. But lately it's gotten a lot better, especially since we've had some playoff games there and some playoff ones. It's interesting. We've actually never lost a playoff game at Levi's. So knock on wood, hope I don't jinx us there. But, it's definitely started to get a little bit of that candlestick vibe. I think it just takes winning for a while to kind of get people in that mood where, it is hard to get in and out of. It's definitely, the tailgating experience is not as good as it was at Candlestick. You can't tailgate everywhere, but once you get used to it, it's a pretty good environment. The main thing is that you don't want to go in September when the sunny side just fries. It gets incredibly hot on the sunny side of that stadium, and so now we schedule a lot of our September games away or at night. But now I'm starting to wonder if that's a mistake, if Purdy isn't good at handling a wet football, that is. Mm-hmm. Maybe those are some pretty dry games. I mean, it's too bad if people fry, but at least the ball will be dry, because now of our last 11 games, 9 of them are outdoors where it could be wet and or windy. Starting here with the Bengals, Jags, Bucks, Seahawks twice, Eagles in Philly, Ravens on Christmas Day at Levi's, Commanders in Washington, and then the Rams back at home. So I mean, they obviously won't all be rain games, but I wouldn't be surprised if 3 or 4 of them are.
You know what I don't understand is why all of a sudden the fade away from Kittle so much? Like he has a big game, then all of a sudden it kind of seems like he just disappears. Like that should be your safety blanket.
He was doing some good things against the Vikings. He definitely had some nice catches.
I mean, he did. Yeah, I'm not going to take that away, but I mean that like this week coming up, this game, Darnold better use that man like it's everything because Kittle will get that for you and open up that so CMC can do a little more and take some heat off you.
Randy says we were undefeated before injuries. That's true.
We were undefeated before Nick Chubb got hurt too.
Yeah. That's a good point. No doubt about it. And prayers up for him. I guess it's an MCL, so that's better news.
Yeah. Oh, man. Everybody thought because he had somewhat the same injury in college.
Yeah.
It looked crazy.
What if the Niners trade to get a Bosa brother? Okay, so that's what the Joey has 9 tackles and 3 sacks. Joey's always injured though, man. I don't think he's worth his contract if I'm being honest. I mean, I would love to have him, but I wouldn't expect him to play very often. I never root for injuries, but I also don't ignore them. Is the way I put it. So CMC didn't do much in the Dallas game. Yeah, well, Dallas said anybody but CMC beat us, and everybody did. So I mean, we were winning 42-10 with 11 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. That was some say our Super Bowl. We'll see. I hope not, but maybe we peaked too soon. It's hard to argue that I mean, until we show back up again. I think we will, but it's people will say it until we do. Pick came on the play after the concussion. I thought, yeah, one pick came on the play after, and then another one. They were both after, but one was literally the next play. Yes, exactly, Randy. Fourth quarter using voice to text. My bad. Okay, I didn't see what your bad was. Can't even get a complete 13 passes a row. Forget 13 games. Interesting. I'm just saying, can we play Saul or D'Amico under the table until we figure it out? Another question from a friend. So Red Jet does not like Steve Wilkes. I liked the idea of Steve Wilkes before the season. It's definitely, I mean, I'm starting to get frustrated. I have concerns. I'm maybe not as bent out of shape about the blitz to end the first half as other people were. Not because it was a good idea to call the blitz, but because, I mean, Charvarius Ward should have knocked that ball down. I mean, instead he went for the pick, and then Jordan Addison picked it, took it away from him, and scored a TD. So it was it's a bummer, but I'm not as mad at Steve Wilkes as some people are for that one. Trey Lance. Oh, Randy is a big Purdy fan and didn't like that I like Trey Lance. How many other QBs start 13-0 as a rookie? Well, I mean, minus the injuries. Yeah. So, I mean, again, I excuse him somewhat for that, but injuries have always been a concern for me with Brock Purdy because of his stature. I mean, he's 6 foot, maybe a half inch, 220, but a lot of the weight's in his legs, so he's not.
That half inch is big. That's a big half inch.
It is because, well, they try and say he's 6'1". I'm like, nah, he
you can't round up in football. No, you got to call what it is.
No, exactly. But all right, so we're caught up here on those. So as far as the Seahawks go, what are your thoughts on Browns Seahawks? Do you believe in Geno? Because I got into trouble. Oh, here's an interesting one. I was, you ever heard of Nick Wright?
Yeah, I hate that dude.
Yeah, me too. I call him Nick Wrong.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, although as a Cleveland, you must love because he loved LeBron. So
no, I still hated him then.
Okay, because he's such a turd. Yeah, and so he was saying that he trusted Geno more than Brock, and so if you see me on the timeline, a lot of times you'll see me say this will be fun to come back to.
Listen, I did a whole thing about him when he did 20-0, no doubt about it, with the Chiefs, dude. I did a whole thing dogging the hell out of this guy. him and Adam Rank. I hate both them dudes. Them dudes just don't know how to talk football at all. They're stupid. Straight dumb with it. They do a lot of shit for clicks and all that.
Yeah.
Trash. Dumpster fires together. But Geno, man, he's saying he would trust Geno more than Brock. Now, that's ludicrous to me. Ludicrous. Because Geno isn't anything until he gets to Seattle, and he has to have 2 all-pro wide receivers and Pete Carroll being able to help him do these things. Anywhere else, he was just a QB2. When he went to the Jets, he was straight trash. Listen, Geno's nothing. I'm not – Brock Purdy is way better than Geno Smith ever will or ever could have been.
That's what I thought, but, so I wrote – this will be fun to come back to. And then after this Vikings game, fewer than 75 people go to and replied. I think there must have been a group chat or something where like, hey, let's go get this guy. I've never seen so many people so quickly on one tweet like that. And just get ratioed, as they say, as the kids say these days. And I was just like, I couldn't believe it. So I saved them all, of course. And I almost went back to them all after this concussion thing, but I want to wait till Purdy plays well and then go back and just be like,
just wait till after this.
Now I'm back. And the funny thing is all these jerk offs were like, oh, hey, I'm back. I'm like, dude, you weren't here to begin with. So like, what are you talking about? You're back. Like, so I hate trash talk when they don't trash talk up front, like where you pile on at the end.
Were they all just talking?
No balls to say it at the time,
Were they all just talking trash about Purdy, or are they Geno fans?
Yeah, they're all saying because of the 2 interceptions. Are
they Geno fans too, or something?
There were some Seahawks fans. There was a lot of Chiefs fans because Nick Wright, he's a big Chiefs. So you
of course, yeah. Got a tattoo now.
Well, also some guy below me had said something like had replied to me saying something like, Purdy has Mahomes worried or something along those lines, and I was like, I don't, I said it earlier, like that's hyperbole. I'm not putting him in those conversations, but I should have replied and just said, not me, or whatever. But anyway, so he got a lot of grief too. But there's a lot of Chiefs fans, a lot of Seahawks fans, but then there's like a Cards fan. I'm like, what are you doing here, man? The Cards, you got nothing to talk about, man.
That's why.
He went 20 for 21 against you guys. Like, well, our defense sucks. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
The whole team sucks. There ain't nothing good about your team. Not one position on the Arizona's team is good. Not one.
No.
Not the coach, not the staff, not the GM.
James Conner. I like James Conner, but I heard he's on the trade block. Cool. Maybe we'll trade for him.
He's a good running back.
Yeah, I would love to get James Conner.
Again, I'm telling you right, the stadium is what they got going for him. That is what they got going for him.
It is a nice stadium. I love that it's indoor and grass. I mean, I love that in Allegiant.
The fact that it's grass is where it's at.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what all football fields should be.
When Rams cap on Levi's, I'm like, hey, at least it's grass, because SoFi is turf. Just ask OBJ how that went, where you have the non-contact ACL, so yeah, no doubt about it. Purdy says Brock isn't 100% out just yet. Yeah, he's not 100%.
He needs to be.
0-1 in February. Well, actually, we're 0-2 if you count the Ravens, but we're 5-2. But still, sorry, voice Texas. Okay, so Bryant was saying Gold Mine is awesome. I haven't been yet, but Bryant was there for that Giants home opener. So he got to meet, I think, Jess, who does East Coast Red and Gold podcast, and a bunch of other people. Bashar, who's I do Balling with Bash and Ted on Friday. He's in our DM group also.
All right.
But let's see here. I'll start working my way back up. Kyle's 11-16 October, not 11-6. Okay. There, speakers full. Yeah, because when you said 11-6, I'm like, that doesn't seem right. I'm pretty sure it was a losing record. So thanks for clarifying, Randy. Appreciate that. Why can't we compliment a guy without comparing to another guy? It's just that's the way football is. It's got to be that way. But I mean, I think Geno's a good quarterback. He's definitely has one thing he's better at than Purdy is throwing a deep ball. But
yes,
I don't know about his decision making overall. I don't know. I think it's closer than a lot of people want to admit. I think
the game manager. That is what Geno is.
Purdy, Dak, Cousins. No. I think they're all in the similar. Like, no. You like Purdy better than those guys?
I like Purdy better than
Gino.
I think him and Kirk. I think he could be a better Kirk because as soon as the light comes on,
Kirk shredded us with like
he did. But look,
Addison and KJ Osborne, and then Addison went out, and then he was lighting us up with Brandon frickin' Powell, who's like a kick returner from the Rams.
You gotta think that was on a primetime game. Usually, when them lights flip on,
that's usually
looks like a cockroach and runs away. You don't ever see the man. He doesn't show the hell up.
No, wait. Here's the thing about Cousins, though. I always said if you protect him, he can pick you apart. And the Vikings have done a shit job of protecting him, and even a shitter job of giving him a good defense. Like the only time he ever had a decent defense as a Viking, he had the misfortune of running into us in 2019 when we had the number 2 D and the number 2 run game. And they might have won if Kyle just let Jimmy keep throwing the ball, because he literally threw Kendricks an interception, and he threw it 2 more times to Kendricks and he dropped both. And so Kyle's like, shut him down. We literally ran the ball 4 times, and it's very famous that we ran it 8 times against the Packers there in that NFC Championship game. Yeah. Or we only threw 8 pass attempts. Pardon me. It's less known. All right, so I botched that. But anyway, there's only 4 pass attempts in the second half against the Vikings. So 12 in the last 6 quarters leading up to the Super Bowl. Only 2 pass attempts per quarter. And so, I think that's part of Kirk's problem right there. I mean, I do understand about Monday Night Football, but when you don't have a D, you don't have an O-line, that's going to hurt you.
That's ever. He doesn't play primetime games good, ever.
Yeah.
Ever. And Dak is not in the conversation with any of this.
Really?
Dude, I'm not a fan of Dak. I never was ever a fan of Dak. I think he had some good breaks with certain players and having defenses, but I mean, the first time he shows out in the playoff game was what, last year or 2 years ago? Decides to show out.
Yeah,
was last year. He had that year he beat Brady, but dude, that's it.
Yeah. And Brady was washed, and that Bucs defense was overrated, and yeah. Although he looked pretty good against Herbert the other night, or day or whenever that was.
Listen, they should have won. The Chargers should have won that game. That's the craziest thing. If Herbert didn't go down the field and throw the interception at the end, make that wrong decision, dude, that's it. Chargers are marching, and that game's going to be over, and Cowboys lose that one too.
There you go. Dak used to be good a while ago. I don't know. I still have him in that 10-ish range. I've got
in Mississippi State.
10. I think he won a playoff game way back when in 2016 or something like that. So
Trent Dilfer won a bunch of playoff games and even a Super Bowl, but you're going to tell that dude's a good?
No, Trent Dilfer is the caution. He's the exception to the rule of like you need a franchise quarterback to win.
What about Rex Grossman?
Well, but he didn't win the Super Bowl. He just
he didn't, but he sure in hell got there.
He got there. Yeah. No, I mean, Dilfer, Brad Johnson,
Del Holm,
Nick Foles, and then I go back. I say Jim McMahon too.
Listen, I think Foles is a better quarterback than all them guys.
You think Foles the best?
I think Foles is probably one of the best game managers there is because he does have talent. It's a matter of having the right team around him.
The Eagles were stacked.
Exactly. When Deshaun got hurt and they were saying all this other shit, I said, why not call this man up? Why not just call him? He's going to be cheap as hell.
Yeah.
If you can come in and run the system, you have the talent for him to do it, and the defense, like he did with the Eagles, he can manage and win games.
And you guys have a good O-line, really good O-line.
And everyone's like, no, why? He hasn't played in how long? I'm like, what? Yeah. He was never good on any other team. I don't care what he did on any other team but the Eagles. Don't care.
Stacked team. Yeah, I'm with you.
Good with us right now, but he went to Tampa Bay, and he's doing all right down there, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. What do you think about Seattle's secondary with Devin Witherspoon and Woolen, Diggs?
I think they got a great secondary.
Yeah.
I think that's a good young core. I mean, even Adams as a vet out there helping them out. I mean, that's a hell of a core. It's not Legion of Boom, but it's definitely a good core.
Well, people forget that, they had really good linebackers in the Legion of Boom.
Yes.
I mean, obviously they had Bobby Wagner. They had a couple, at least one other really good, KJ Wright.
No,
Was he part of Legion of Boom? He might have been later. Browner was a corner. But then they also had like these really good, like underrated deep D line too. There weren't any like superstars, but there was a lot of like almost stars, and tons of depth on that D line. So, and now they're just scraping by, downgrading from Nwosu to Frank Clark. So, hopefully that's enough for you guys to get the win. We'll see.
Oh, listen, I think we're gonna make Gino. We're gonna terrorize Gino.
Nice.
We're gonna terrorize him, and look, they might have to put Drew Lock in, and then you already know what happens then.
Well, I got all those receipts saved from all those schools who came at me. I'd love to be able to come back at them. Ideally, I'd like a good Brock game to go with a bad Gino game. So maybe, I guess I'm rooting. I was already rooting for Brock to play, but we'll see. We'll see. I'd say it's slim to none that actually happens. We'll see. Long ago in a galaxy far away. Yes,
that's right.
Said Dak used to be good.
Yeah. Mississippi.
I think he's decent, but yeah, I mean, ultimately, time will tell. I had him as my 10B to start the season. I had Kirk as 10A, and Dak as 10B.
You got to think what Kirk's done in his career with Washington.
Done a ton.
What he's done with this. I mean, to me, Kirk's career is 100 times better than what Dak's is.
Not only that, but the dude never gets injured. It's insane. He's like never missed a game due to injury in like 8 or 9 years.
He's a cheat code for real. Like, L1, R1, up, down. That's bam. There it is. Kirk. He's right back 100%. Like,
In the plaid shirt his wife bought him. It's so
just
so
walking around there, all of a sudden he's got some chains hanging and
driving the minivan or whatever it was.
If he were walking around in a crowd, nobody would really know that guy.
Yeah, no doubt.
He blends right
like that.
Yeah, that's it. That's what they know him for. That right there.
Oh man. Well, any other thoughts on your guys' game, our game?
Listen, I think both games can be close no matter what happens. The 12th man's always a factor, especially with – listen, this is a big thing for me. In that Indy game, Garrett got called for offsides. They threw the flag. It's a free play. He stood up like he was a kid in class and the teacher yelling at him, stood up and said, "What, me?" And just stood there, didn't continue rushing the quarterback to make sure he got pressure still. He just stood up and said, "Yeah, man, just stood there. Nah, you can't do that. Continue rushing. Even if you did go offsides, until they stop the play, you better continue doing your thing." But close games either way. I think the Browns get it. If Sam Darnold's playing, I really think Cincinnati gets it in the end. And I think it's a field goal, coming down to the pipe. McPherson hits a field goal.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Win with Purdy, lose with Sam. That's sort of my tale of two predictions. Now, as far as weather goes, it's 70 and sunny for the 49ers. Hey, you guys got 54 and sunny in Seattle. So
that's right.
Looks like good weather, at least as far as unless you want rain. Sometimes you do. I definitely don't. Well, I don't know with Darnold, but with Purdy, I know I don't anymore because it's not just the Cleveland game where we saw it. It was also the wild card game against the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
I was there, and it rained before the game, and it rained in the first half. And Purdy struggled in the first half. People go, "Oh, well, we scored 14 points." I'm like, "Yeah, well, we were losing 14-16." And then Purdy lit him up in the second half for like 30 more points. Once it dried out, the sun came out and the field dried out and the balls dried out. And so I think it's fair to say that Purdy is a fair weather QB.
Yeah, listen, the Browns don't need anything else against them. We got P.J. Walker back there again. I don't want any rain or water. I don't want nothing. Nothing.
There you go. Well, good luck. I hope you beat the Seahawks. I have a feeling that it's going to be a long day for me at Levi's, but hopefully Sam Darnold proves me wrong. Hopefully, like I said, we end up with a quarterback controversy. If he plays that well, there's a controversy. That would be great. because then I wouldn't have to go into my woe is me. Why did we trade Trey Lance away? We really could have used him, because I know that's just that soundtrack is just playing in my head right now. Real quick, got the Shaw Show in the house. Anshul is here. Says, hey, Ted and Mike, you're a little bit late. Anshul, we're probably wrapping pretty soon. But check out his podcast, his YouTube channel. Great stuff there. He's been a guest on my show many times, and I've been on his and whatnot. Good stuff there from Anshul. And then Randy says, I think the Niners were exhausted in these 2 games. The schedule is disastrous. Development for our Super Bowl chances. I called both losses and the next one the day I saw the schedule. There you go. Yeah, you did definitely call the Vikings loss. I didn't remember you called the Browns loss too. That's wild. And then I know you're calling the Bengals loss here. CMC is tired. We overused him. He going into the Vikings game, he had 133 touches. Mm-hmm. And our next highest weapon was Deebo Samuel at 38, 95 touches less.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And so I wrote an article before the game. I was like, to CMC or not to CMC, because clearly he was, in practice and could play if he wanted to, pain tolerance. And I was saying, I don't think we should play him. I was saying, I thought that we probably needed to rest him, even if he wasn't injured, but now he's injured. That just makes it easy peasy, rest him. And, as it turned out, like, I could see why we did. Like, there's no way it would have been close if we hadn't played him. We could have won, especially maybe if Brock hadn't got his concussion. Yeah. But ultimately, in this case, the way it worked out was the worst case scenario, where not only did we play him, but we played the hell out of him. There was like at the end of the game, like, oh yeah, and CMC's been on every offensive snap in this game. And I'm like, great. So we didn't even slow it down at all, because Kyle can't. Kyle just, if he's got his toy, he's going to play with it, and it doesn't matter. Until it breaks. Yeah. It just, there's no off switch. There's no like, oh, we'll put in Mason for a little bit here. Or Elijah Mitchell came in for one play and was fairly ineffective. So, yeah, it's crazy.
Kyle's that guy that says, oh, that's my bat. My bat broke. I can't hit without my bat.
Yeah.
So CMC gonna break, and then that's what his excuse is gonna be. Oh well, CMC down, so we're good, but he's down. That's why we're losing. No, they can't take.
Kyle always has excuses like that. He's got stuff like that now. Right now, he's blaming Wilkes. So even though he's there on the same mic, man, he could say, "Don't blitz at the end of the first half, man. What are you thinking? Drop 8. What? Rally." Jags game will be huge. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one for sure. Trevor Lawrence is playing well. They're hot.
Sunshine.
They'll be at home.
World sunshine.
Yeah, and they got Travis Etienne. They got
Calvin Ridley.
Ridley back from the gambling. Yeah, Ridley is a hell of a receiver. Yes, and even Christian Kirk was really good last year, even better maybe this year.
Their defense has been sneaky good.
Yeah, they've got the other Josh Allen. They've got that number 1 overall draft pick from the year after they took or before they took Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
I'm blanking on his name, but the edge player, Jadeveon, something like that. Trey the Wave says, watch out for the Seahawks defense, Walmart version of Boom.
Great value Boom.
Yeah.
The great value Boom.
I mean, Devin Witherspoon had a game against the Giants, but still, he was everywhere in that game and hitting and pick six, and he was just dominant. I was just like, oh man, I could see why. Because, a lot of people were like, oh, you should have taken Jalen Carter there if you're taking a defender, because he ended up going 4 picks later to the Eagles. I think either way, you're probably in good shape with either one of those guys. Yeah, sorry. Well, I mean, if the chat's hopping, we could go a little bit longer. It's just we had sort of got to the end of what we were talking about. I mean, if we want to talk more about future games, I guess we could. But I feel like we've kind of let Mason cook. Yeah, I mean, Mason came in. He was doing well against the Browns. And then no carries against the Vikings. It's kind of like Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory, sack, all this stuff. Oh, yeah, let's cut his snaps. Oh, yeah, Mason, nothing.
I don't understand that either. I mean, the guy can play, so let him
Yeah.
play.
Yeah. I think it's just, he doesn't know the routes as well and the blocking schemes as well. And Kyle's big thing is no block, no rock.
Still, all right, simplify it a little more when he gets put in and
Yeah.
let CMC go sit on the bench for a second.
Yeah, and just let him run.
Oxygen.
Yeah, you don't have to block if you're running the ball. Let Juice block for him, right?
Exactly. There you go, man.
Come
Damn.
on. Jeez. This isn't rocket science here, folks. I use okay, I had to read the whole thing first because the way it started, I was like, I don't know where you going with this, Randy. I know you're usually pretty good. They say I used to stuff my wiffle bat with newspaper, tape the outside. Oh, home run hitter, big slugger. Randy,
that cork.
Babe Ruth Daytona. Wish we could have Parsons without trading up instead of Trey. We'd be stacked. Yeah, we could have. We could have had Micah. We could have had Panay Sewell. We could have had Pat Surtain the second. We could have had.
You still might get PS2.
Smith. Shoot, there's so many people we could have had there. The tackle, left tackle for the Chargers. Yeah, there was all kinds of guys there that. Yeah, it's a shame, but we whiffed. Sadly. And it wasn't a whiff until we let him out of the building. At least as long as he was here, could always turn into something. That was part of my frustration.
Yeah.
Like I said, but look, if Brock is the guy and then once you determine that, then you got to get rid of the other guy. That I had said that before it happened, but I just wasn't ready to say that Brock's the guy yet, especially coming off this injury and where there were some questions from last year of how good he was. Like, there's this video comparing him and Jimmy G, and it's spooky how similarities there are. Where they're basically saying Brock threw a lot of interceptable balls, but a lot of them just got dropped. No. And Jimmy G is much better on the early reads. Brock much better second, third, and fourth reads. But like while they're doing it totally differently, the end result is eerily the same, especially when Jimmy had CMC, the ultimate QB, safety blanket, pacifier, whatever you want to call him, get out of jail free card at the end of the progression. Just throw it to freaking CMC. If nothing else, he's going to be as close as you can be to the sticks and as far as you can be from defenders.
Having him and Kittle, that's crazy. You got blankets all around.
Yeah. Well, and then Debo and Ayuk too. Although I do think Ayuk is, like I say, we're a front runner. I think Ayuk is kind of a front runner as far as he racks up a lot of yards when we play bad defenses. But when like push comes to shove, like you want Debo to get those tough yards.
Agree.
So that's sort of the way I feel about it. Not as good a route runner, not as good a hands, but even Ayuk's hands are not as good as most wide receivers. Let's just be honest. He's had a few. The big drop against you guys. Oh my God! Like that was one of the things that changed that game. The drop to Ayuk, the overthrow of CMC on the wheel, and then he overthrew Ayuk 2 or 3 times. Where people called it drops, but I'm like, to me, if it goes off your fingertips, that's not really a drop. You
can't say if it hit your hands, catch it, because you're not catching anything on a fingertip.
No, if it's in your palms,
like out for it maybe
on the tips, and you're like outstretched, and it's over, over and outside. It's like, to me, I get it. It's catchable, but it's not like, it's not a drop either. There's like a gray area in there.
Yeah.
Bryant's saying maybe Trey Lance will be back on the Niners one day. Josh Johnson been on the Niners a couple times. Oh man, I don't want him back anymore. After he's been a Cowboy, like he's
especially once he goes out there and actually plays as the quarterback. That's when you're like, nah.
Yeah, I could never root for a Cowboy. I don't know if I could root for an ex-Cowboy because we haven't had a lot of them. Oh, I guess we had Ken Norton. I did root for him. And so I really like Ken Norton. But I don't know. The thrill might be gone, Bryant. It just, I don't think I can go, it's like an ex-girlfriend. You go get back together. It's never the same. Like I'm not.
Well, listen, now hold on. You can get back with your ex and all of a sudden it'd be different, but better. That's a tricky, that's a double-edged sword there.
This happened? This happened for you?
Oh yeah. Listen, me and my old lady, I mean, me and her are on rough ends right now, but dude, they're 15 years apart. And I moved down to Cincinnati to be with her.
Damn.
Like, and we
Damn.
were like high school stuff. And then I was going through some rough things in my life and doing some dumb stuff.
Yeah.
So I had to go chill somewhere. But when I came back here, you know, I came out, went and saw her, and things just clicked. So now, you know, I mean, I've seen it work a couple times.
It can happen. I was just saying, for me, it never worked out getting back together with anyone. But hey,
everybody, both people got it better. Like the Niners got to get better. Kyle Shanahan's got to be able to be all right. You know, I'm sorry, and then Trey Lance has got to be a better quarterback in order for it to work. But
yeah,
if both sides don't come together better, then no.
All right. I'll keep a little bit of hope alive. A little candle lit for that one. Ernie says, I'm just Madden GM. I'd take Parsons, traded Bosa for a haul, and let Armstead go a while ago. Yeah, I mean, Armstead, for sure. I don't know. I would just love to have Bosa and Parsons, though. I mean, with Hargrave, nice. I mean, we would never have gotten Hargrave in that case. But, no, but still Bosa and Parsons. Just maybe some Vince Wilfork type two-gapper, space eater, monsters of men in the middle, which we never seem to get anymore on the 49ers. Bryant is a wild man, absolutely. Sam Area, he's excited for Sam. Get Josh Johnson back. He will take you to the Super Bowl, I think he meant.
He might not.
Josh Johnson isn't taking anyone anywhere. That's why when people say, oh, like any QB can be in college system, like, no, Josh Johnson. I'm like, yeah, not Josh Johnson, not Hoyer, not CJ, not Mullins. Like, we're talking starting QBs here, not like those guys aren't starters here. Those guys aren't starters anywhere else. So that's not a fair comparison to say like, oh, they couldn't do it. There may be 5 good backups. We carry 1. Do we? I don't know. I
don't know.
I have so little faith in Sam Darnold. It's ridiculous how little faith. I mean, part of it was I was there for those 9 open camp practices, and all he did was dink and dunk. And then he had a couple nice throws in preseason, but he also threw, I guess, 1 interception was he threw to Ronnie Bell, and it was like one of those ones I was talking about for Stafford, where it's like not an interceptable ball, but it gets intercepted.
Yeah.
But I just will never trust him until he proves it in a real game. So hopefully this Sunday he can make me a believer.
I was shocked he got drafted as high as he did, to be honest. With all the interceptions and his choice, his IQ on the field, he just didn't. I mean, he might have arm strength and talent, but you got to be able to make the right reads and decide, hey, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. Not, I'm just going to whip it there, do this here. I mean, no, that's not.
What's the over-under for the number of fans at Levi's dressed as ghosts this Sunday? I think it's a lot, folks.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I might just have to do it now. No, I'm not gonna do that because I'm rooting for him, and I don't want to like. But I bet there'll be a ton of ghosts.
I bet there'll be some.
Josh Johnson has a record 17 teams, and like 9 of them are the 49ers.
They just came back 9 times.
That's Dante Johnson, the corner. Josh Johnson, he is like 6 or 7 times with the Niners. Still, that's a lot, more than a handful. I think the record was Dante Johnson was like 9 or 10, and then there's the receiver, the Eagles receiver, who then bulked up to be a tight end for us and then tore his ACL. I wanted to say Addison, but that's not it. I'm never going to think of it. Mathis. Somebody help me out with that receiver who turned tight end. Oh, we got Bashar in the house. What's up, Bash? He and I do balling with Bash and Ted on Fridays at 3. Great guy. 49er Minded is his channel. Make sure everybody likes and subscribes. Jordan Mathis. Jordan. I think that's it.
That sounds close.
I think it is. I think it's Jordan Mathis. We'll look it up. I think it's Mathis.
Mathis. Yeah, that's
something like that. Nah, it's not coming up. Something Mathis. Anyway, someone will figure it out for us in the chat. So I scooted down. Let's see here. 5. Okay. Trey, the Wave says, or CMC QB. Yeah, I really thought CMC would throw the ball some against the Eagles last year in the NFC Championship game. He can throw. He obviously threw against the Rams.
Yeah.
Juszczyk can throw. A lot of our skill players can throw the football. Juwan Jennings did some Wildcat QB at Tennessee.
You're reaching in a bag now.
Debo threw a TD against the Rams. So Debo and CMC both have TD throws in the NFL. Juszczyk is our emergency QB from forever. And that might be it. I don't know that Ayuk has any kind of thing that you can point to, but and Kittle definitely not. I don't see Kittle throwing to anybody. Jordan Mathis.
Robert Mathis. Some guy says in the chat.
That's not Robert. Robert Mathis was the DN for the Colts who played opposite of
Freeney,
Dwight Freeney. Exactly. But it's something like that. I like DTs better than DEs. I feel they should be our top players. Well, some of them are. I mean,
Jalen Carter.
Yeah, Jalen Carter. Quentin Williams. Chris Jones is pretty damn dominant anymore. Yeah. Aaron Donald was the highest paid defender until Bosa took that. And I'm just hoping Bosa, basically the holdout, he only had 2 practices before we played the Steelers week 1. So I'm hoping he's still rounding into shape. He kind of said something like that after the Vikings loss, that maybe he hasn't quite been 100. I thought it might take 4 or 5 games. I didn't think it'd take 7 or 8, but you never know what it takes to get into game shape. It's not easy. Bryant back with the Sam area. As long as it's not in my area. Oh, man. I'm running a 4-3 defense. I want the best defensive tackles and one of the best weighting at DT3. The nice thing about, as I say, so you were saying, Randy was saying earlier that Steve Wilkes didn't have Steve Wilkes' resume in the list of resumes for DCs this last offseason. Yeah. And the main guy who we did have was Vic Fangio, who ended up with the Dolphins. But the problem was that Fangio runs a 3-4, and Bosa is the quintessential 4-3 edge, because you don't want Bosa in coverage. No. I mean, every now and then, fine. Mostly you want, see quarterback, hit quarterback, and maybe, hit running back if he pops out on the way. And so that was a big reason why we didn't go with Fangio, I think. Also, just because I think Wilkes sort of said, Kyle will do whatever you want, whereas Fangio is I'm going to do it my way. He's a little more of a ego and with, he's earned it. Fangio is amazing. No doubt about it. Red Jet says she's suited up. Let's go. LOL. All right, Red Jet. I saw that video, that little clip you played with she posted herself with a helmet in her backyard. She's ready to go. Fired up. As long as you can get some sacks, Red Jet. I mean, Lord knows Drake Jackson hadn't had any since week 1. He had 3 against the Steelers week 1 and then hasn't made a peep since. Our 2nd-round draft pick out of USC.
Yeah.
We thought we got some big steal. Turns out he's just there's a reason why. Maybe we reached it.
Ordinary player.
They're he should have been a 1st rounder, You're like, maybe he should have been a 3rd or 4th rounder. I know that's too early, but hopefully he can turn it around this season. But so far, it seems like that should be one of our needs. There's something good to talk about. So you kind of mentioned earlier, people are talking in Browns land about, obviously Halloween is the trade deadline.
Yeah.
What you're the GM for the Browns. What are you doing?
I'm telling the Broncos we want Garrett Bowles, and I'm shipping Jed Willis. I'm shipping Donovan Peoples-Jones, and I might even throw him a late round pick. But I want Bowles on that left side, so that way I don't have to sit there and watch Willis stand there and just stand straight up. I go do it. No, I can't. I cringe every time I see it. I just know anybody back there's going to get killed because he's just letting everybody round that corner. Like he just no. I want that left tackle, and to be honest, I was thinking another wide receiver out there, put him out there with Cooper and Joku and Moore. I don't know who I would actually go get. I wouldn't mind getting D-Hop just because he has rapport with Watson, and that might help Watson once he comes back. But then you got people yelling Derrick Henry. Get him on a rental, put him back there. It'll ease up the quarterback spot, which I could see that. And again, he's a 1-year rental, so you're not paying him after this. You're not going to have no adversity with Chubb. But I'll tell you right now, if we get Henry, bring him in, he does the job. We make noise. I'm keeping him and Chubb and saying, stop somebody.
Find a way.
We'll do the triple option. We'll play army ball, and we'll just run and throw the ball 8 times, and that's it.
Forget this devaluing, or Georgia Tech, right? Yeah. Forget this devaluing of the running backs. Yeah, there's certain running backs that are worth it, in my opinion, and Derrick Henry is definitely one of them. No doubt. Jordan Matthews is who I was thinking of. I finally looked it up the right way. Not Mathis. So that's what I was screwing it up. But so it was like Josh Johnson, 5 or 6 times, Jordan Mathis 7 or 8 times, and Dante Johnson 9 or 10 times as Niners.
All right.
So more talk about Josh Johnson here. Can run the read option. Yes.
Hey, listen, speak of the read option, PJ Walker, why not let that dude run a little bit? Let him get out.
Yeah.
He got some wheels. Let him go.
Yeah.
Let him go, because then it'll open the offense, and it might make it easier for him to make those throws. There was a whole stat, and it said 13% missed open throws. That he leads the league. That is just no.
There you go. Brent Culp says, I want to see CMC and Juice kicking field goals. No, we don't. It was bad enough when Wisnowski tried, or punter. We definitely don't want skill players kicking field goals.
I remember who did it. Ocho Cinco did that. He did it in the game. Kicked the field.
I doubt we lowballed Fangio, Randy. I think Jed ponies up for – it's hard to tell, though, because it's not public record what coaches and coordinators make. But I feel like Jed – he doesn't have any problem spending money, including signing bonuses and things like that. I feel like Jed does a pretty good job, but maybe, I mean, unless you're in the room, you don't know.
Yeah.
My hunch is that that's not it. 49ers might get Fitzmagic. Oh God. Really?
God, I would love him to be in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I would love that.
He's good. I think he's past his prime a little bit.
No, he is, but again, game manager. That is all I want. I don't want some guy getting 400 yards a game. Just manage the game.
Too much magic.
That commercial's great.
Conley even called it twice for no reason. We'll have to pay him soon. Yeah. I mean, Conley, I was kind of surprised he didn't make the 53-man roster. Chris Conley was one of our better receivers in camp. He's tall and he's fast. And we just don't have anybody else like that. All our other receivers are shorter in stature and not really blazers. And for those 2 reasons, I thought he might make it. Maybe we're planning to elevate him. We'll see. It'll be interesting. He says, I hate Florida. Easy choice for me. There you go. At least they have no income tax, though. So
yeah, that's crazy down there.
Killing us here in California. What else? Anything else we should go over, or should we call it for a second time? I think. See what Trey says here. Put CMC QB for the game might turn into Tom Brady. I mean, CMC was a QB. That's why he's so good at finding those spots as an outlet receiver. But he's too valuable. I mean, he's the engine that makes Kyle's scheme roar, and that's why he was in the MVP conversation, and that's why we need to rest him, because we need him in the playoffs, and I guess maybe he'll get some rest at the bye, but shoot, doesn't look like any before then.
That's another reason. Hey, that's another reason to sit Purdy, because your bye week's next week, correct?
Yep.
Just sit him. Let him get through the concussion. Let his arm rest. Just sit him.
Yeah. You're right, but like I said, Kyle and his toys. If he can play, Kyle will have him out there regardless.
It's already duct taped. Don't rip the duct tape right now.
That's right. Duct tape and crazy glue.
Yeah, you got to let that heal.
After that, shit, it's broke.
You got to get the soldering iron out and mold it back together. You can't.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Mike, thanks for stopping by today. I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Always, anytime you need, man.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again soon. I'll be more likely to do it if you guys actually beat the Seahawks. No, I'm just kidding. But I definitely really want you guys to beat the Seahawks. And let's see that great historic defense of the Browns. Let's see it bounce back after the 456 that the Colts put up. I think we talked about it backstage, but we didn't really talk about it on the show.
What's crazy is,
but I got into a lot of trouble with Browns fans because
all that happened, but yet they still, if you play fantasy, they had the most fantasy points a defense can give out that week. I'm like, that doesn't make no sense. You give up 38 points and you still have 17 points. But I mean, that's a blocked field goal. That's the two, all the turnovers. That's the touchdown. There's a lot of stuff that went into that. But
no doubt. Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of greatness on that defense, starting with Myles Garrett. Of course, the guy's an absolute monster. He, even though, I mean, I will say with the asterisk, Trent Williams was playing on one leg, but he won 31% of the snaps against Trent. That was the highest of Trent Williams' career. So that's not all the injury. Some of that is definitely Myles Garrett is a beast.
That dude's a freak. I mean, he jumped over that line and blocked that field goal. Like, you literally box jumped over an entire two lines, didn't touch nobody, and blocked that field goal. Like, that was crazy. That's something you don't see.
He's incredible. No doubt about it. JOK, the whole secondary, Delpit and Newsome. And,
all right, I got to take that back. That's something you did see. Palomalu did that. Thing is Palomalu is not even half Myles Garrett's size. Myles Garrett's size, he should not be doing that.
No, right. Palomalu is like 220, right? 215.
Garrett's about almost 3. He's like 290 or something.
Yeah, that's a huge difference for sure. And way taller, too.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Randy saying good chemistry, great show. Trey, the way it says Seahawks versus 49ers NFC Championship, you never know. I think it's Niners Eagles, or I said Niners Cowboys, but
no
preseason, and then I was thinking it going into that Niners Cowboys game, but the way they just laid down against us, I just don't see how they can.
Listen. I still think
you said you thought the Chargers should have beat them. I don't think the Chargers are a contender.
I still think the Lions can have something to say about it.
Yeah, the Lions.
I really think the Lions.
They got a great O-line. They got good weapons. They got Jameson back, and they've got Amon-Ra St. Brown. And
they got the two-headed running back monster if they use it.
Playing well. Their defense is playing well. I don't know what happened against the Ravens, but
their defense didn't even touch Lamar. There was 0 sacks. 0. Didn't even touch the man. That was
we know about that. That's how many we had against Kirk. So oh, sheesh. We made Kirk look like a superhero. But I mean, I've always said there's a reason why Kyle likes him.
Yeah.
And now you can see why. The way the NFC is shaping up could easily end up being anyone. Yeah, I still think it's Niners, Eagles, maybe Lions, maybe Cowboys. But Niners, Eagles, I think. Well, and especially with the freaking Eagles. They got is it Keith or Kevin Byard from the Titans, the safety? Kevin Byard, like, this is their weakness, and he's one of the best.
And they just plugged him right in.
You talk about losing Jesse Bates. I think Byard is maybe not quite at that level, but they're both top safeties in the league for sure.
Well, see, Cincy lost both their safeties, and that crushed them. Look, their secondary is weak. They are
Really?
weak. They're young and weak because, especially at the safety. I mean, you got Dax Hill back there. You got your young guys, but dude, I'm telling you, if you can beat them outside, like if Debo was playing in this game, this be crazy. He'd probably kill it. He'd be killing it in this game.
Oh man, I miss Debo for sure. But maybe this is where we'll see that front runner Ayuk that I talk about, where he shows up against weaker defenses.
This is why I said Kittle
racks up all these yards. Everybody goes, "Oh, he's better than Debo." It's like, no. Dude, he's just better against bad teams.
This is why I say Kittle. This will be huge for Kittle coming across that middle, doing those slash routes, slant routes. Oh, I think he would kill this defense. He can play Kelsey all the way in this defense.
All right. I like that. Philly wash Sunday. They're going 7-1. Yeah, I can't imagine the Commanders are going to beat them. But the Commanders did play them really well in the first meeting. So came down to, was it OT?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was OT. So
Sam Howell came away with that win somehow.
It's wild. Get Kirk to the 49ers. He doing prime. I said I'd rather have Kirk than Purdy straight up, but not for the money, not for 35, 40 mil, whatever. He's going to need a new contract, and Purdy's $800K. So I don't think that Kirk is anywhere close to that much better that you would justify the price difference. And
you wouldn't pay for a Super Bowl?
In a hard capped league, you don't have to be better to be a much better value.
No.
So, and Purdy is arguably the best value of any quarterback, arguably the best value of any pro sports player. I can't think of any other sports player that's, $800K, and you're talking about, I don't know, I'm talking about 8 to 12 or 11 to 15 in this league.
Yeah.
That's kind of, look at Daniel Jones just got 40 million.
Again, Mr. Irrelevant.
Derek Carr just got 37.5. Gino got 35. So even Jimmy G got 23.
Neither one of those guys should have been paid.
And as much as I said that Purdy reminded me of Jimmy G a little bit last season, Purdy's at least a little bit better, and he's younger and he's way cheaper. So nowhere near the same value. Just some similar output from last year. And it's interesting always when you can see the same, two different QBs in the same system, because that's a hard thing to evaluate is, well, what would they look like with these weapons, with this O-line, with Kyle calling the plays? You know that it's an advantage to be here, but sometimes it's hard to see how much until you see Jimmy G leading the league in interceptions and only played 5 games. Oh, never would have seen that coming. Never. Oh, wait. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. So, yeah, no, that's interesting. Randy says Bayard is 34th best player. Yeah, he's a hell of a player. No doubt about it. Philly almost lost last time. And to the Commanders. And the thing about Bayard too is I think he's got $11 million deal this year, or cap hit or whatever, and pretty sure the Titans paid like 7 of the 11. So the Eagles only paid $4 million for him. So the
Titans are having a fire sale. Everybody's gone.
Well,
Vrabel's probably gone too.
Maybe we should get Derrick Henry then. Come on. Bidding war with the Cleveland Browns. Let's go. It's on. Give me some. Who else do they got? They got that the young receiver that they drafted to replace AJ Brown.
Traylon Burks,
yeah.
I'm not overly
they got
the guy.
So it's a fire sale, but it wouldn't include Jeffrey Simmons. That's the crown jewel.
I'm telling you,
want a Titan, man. That's your Titan.
I'm telling you right now. If I'm the GM of the Titans and I'm already shipping off pieces, I'm going to try to see what I could get for Jeffrey Simmons. See what kind of crazy package could come back.
Wouldn't it have to be 3 firsts?
It could be something like that. It could be, because I'm telling you, if you can get me some crazy stuff where I end up.
We talked about Chris Jones and Aaron Donald but isn't he in that same conversation?
He is definitely up there.
Yeah.
He is definitely up there. The man's a disruptor all over.
Quinnen Williams. Yeah.
Quinnen Williams, dude, that guy. Jesus. You look at him, you don't even think he's that much. He's racist, always smiling. And they're killing people.
He killed Jimmy G. That's
Oh,
who
smoked him,
he
dude.
smoked. And then they got our left guard from us who gave it up. I'm blanking on his name now because I blocked it out of my head. But he was like a good run blocker, but terrible in pass blocking. And now, like the Jets, I mean, he might have been the one that got Aaron Rodgers. I forget who that was, but wouldn't surprise me. We got him from Detroit. Anyway, I'm blanking on his name right now.
I don't know.
But he was the one who got smoked by Quinnen Williams, and then Jimmy G sprained his ankle, and then there went our 2020 season. Well, that and Bosa did his ACL there. So did Solomon Thomas, who wasn't like an impact player, but
he was still a big body.
He was solid depth. He was solid depth. Got Alberto Soto in the house. He's saying, "What up, fam? What up, Alberto? Thanks for joining." We keep trying to end it, but we keep just letting it drag on here. Well, as long as there's interesting things to talk about,
it works.
I'll keep talking. You get Colin Kaepernick. No more Kaepernick. He's gone. I don't think he wants to come back.
Nobody's gave him a shot. I really am.
It's been so many years.
It has been, but I mean, I would have thought someone would have gave him a shot before.
Yeah.
Like I was shocked. Like, I mean, I get it. He was the whole kneel down guy, but I mean, come on, man.
But then he also sued the league and got a settlement.
That right there.
Yeah, I think that's so. I think he sued them for them blacklisting him, and then I think they re-blacklisted him again. I think that's what happened.
They renamed it and then did that.
Exactly. Yeah, something not so controversial. Some other color list. Yeah, exactly. Brant Culp says, can we make this a weekly or regular guest? Oh, hey. I actually have I don't really have a Thursday regular show, so if you like this time on Thursdays, anyway, I shouldn't ask you on there, but it's something we could talk about for sure.
All right.
Red Jet says, let's go Commanders, laughing my A off. And did we sign Minshew, Brunskill, DJ Jones? Oh, Brunskill would be great to get back from the Titans. I hated losing him. He was, so valuable. He helped platoon with Burford at right guard, and he could fill in almost anywhere. We have Feliciano, who's all right, but I miss Brunskill. I think he would be great to have back. And because O-line is one of our weaknesses, right guard, right tackle are issues for us. Finally, the Browns changed the logo.
Listen, this has been their logo since the 60s. It's finally we brought it out. And then that dog, they changed the dog logo to actually look mean instead of that sappy, whatever the hell it was. Oh, he's a nice little puppy dog. Nah, man, we need someone that's going to eat somebody, not be a nice little dog.
There you go. I used that dog in my thumbnail yesterday. It was like somebody had superimposed it on a fighter, like KOing somebody with the SF logo on the guy getting KO'd. So I had that, and then the picture of Kirk with the top 10 necklace he was wearing after they beat us. And I said, the 49ers taking weak opponents too lightly. And that's a little bit mean because I don't think the Browns are weak. I mean, certainly your defense isn't.
We're injured. We're injured.
It's just PJ.
In that game, look, we don't have our starting right tackle.
Bitonio
didn't play. I mean, no Chubb, no Watson. I mean,
you're already missing Conklin. But are you really missing him that much? With
I love DeJuan Jones. I love big things.
A lot of us wanted DeJuan Jones.
I love,
and you guys took him a few picks after we took Cameron Latu out of Alabama, who's now on IR. Who in camp his nickname was Drop Two because he like could block and he got great separation. He's a great route runner, but the man could stone him.
DeJuan Jones needs to work. He needs to work on his run blocking, but he's progressing each week. So
that's why we passed. It was because we didn't think he was athletic enough to run the zone scheme.
That dude's a linebacker with that body. He's got linebacker feet with that body.
Yeah. Well, he did a number on Bosa, that's for sure. The only time Bosa got through was when DeJuan went to the outside guy thinking that Posick was gonna shift, and Bosa came unblocked. But other than that, he didn't have a sack otherwise.
Yeah.
And really not much pressures either. So yeah, DeJuan Jones, man, the one that got away. The other one I wanted, who was in that range, was a little bit before we took Latu, but still, like, we could have packaged something pretty cheap to move up. Was Darnell Washington, who went to the, because if you're having trouble with your tackles, like, what's better than a 6'8", 270 tight end to help your tackle out, who can actually has good hands. He's not like fast or a good route runner.
Such a big body,
but he can run block, and he can catch. I mean,
he's a chain mover.
Yeah,
better than run to the spot and catch your ball, and he's a big body.
You drop two.
How do you not hit him in the chest?
On IR, and I don't even think he's really hurt. I think he's just on IR to like stash him for the season, see if he can catch next year. Because we weren't going to waste, because it's a 3rd round pick or a 3rd round comp pick. You can't stick him out on practice squad, obviously. So
yeah.
And you're winning the game now. There you go. I hope so. I hope the Browns are winning.
See, and I love that. Thing is, 4-2. Hopefully, we can be 5-2. Problem is you got the rest of the division winning too. And now we're like, man, all right, so we're still battling.
There you go. Yeah, well, hopefully we can each do each other a favor in our divisions. We got the Bengals.
Yeah, keep the Bengals down.
Yeah.
And let us rise.
I just pray for Brock. That's all I can tell you, Mike. Sam area is the drop to. There we go. All right. Coming up on 2 hours. Let's try this again. I mean, I do have a hard stop in about 15 minutes.
You got to get out and do your thing.
But it's been a lot of fun. You know where to find me. We'll chat more.
All right.
And good luck to your Browns this weekend.
Same to you.
And I'll just say peace and go Niners. And you want to give us a what the Browns say?
What, the dog?
Go Browns.
Go Browns. Here we go, Brownies.
Dog pound.
Here we go, Brownies.
There you go. Thanks, Mike.